All right, welcome back, everybody. Time now for CURES. Do you struggle with stomach pains or feeling bloated and...
Yeah. So there's a special test you might want to get if you're struggling with these stomach issues. Naturopathic physician Dr. Jennifer Stagg is here. She's telling us about getting tested for something called SIBO, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So it's an acronym. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
What is SIBO?
Yeah, so basically it's an excess of bacteria in the small intestine.
Okay.
So people are familiar with, like, we have bacteria in our intestines and our large intestine. That's where most of it is, our microbiome. But some of it kind of can get translocated up into the small intestine. So it's types of bacteria that really shouldn't be in the small intestine, and then they are producing gas, because that's what bacteria does.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other symptoms that you might be struggling with?
Yeah, so you could be experiencing diarrhea, constipation. Some people could just have a weird feeling of fullness after they eat. It could be heartburn, nausea, just, general like GI discomfort. Obviously, those could be other things too, and this is why testing is valuable.
And is there something that you can take to get rid of SIBO?
Yeah, absolutely. So the treatment for SIBO, there are a number of different ways you can go. You can take a prescription antibiotic.
I guess I should start by saying, is there a diagnosis? Like, can you go and get tested?
Right, so you get tested, yeah. So for sure, you get tested. You can get that done locally. There is a GI practice where you can get that done.
Okay.
It's an extended test. It takes a few hours there, so be prepared. But basically, you're just blowing in tubes, like to measure gas production. But there's also an at-home kit, and a lot of patients in our practice find that more convenient to do.
Okay, and this is the at-home kit right here.
Yeah.
Can you get that on your own, like go order this online, or you need a doctor to order it for you?
Yeah, really, it's a doctor-ordered kit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, if you go to your regular doctor, I know you're a naturopathic doctor right at Whole Health Wellness in Farmington, but and you do this all the time, you do a lot with digestive issues. If you just go to your regular doctor and say, I want a SIBO kit, will you get one? Will they say?
No.
No, okay. they won't, they don't do that.
Well, usually if you go to just your primary care doctor, they'll just send you to GI, and then GI will send you to another GI practice where they do the SIBO testing. Maybe.
Every now and then, forgive me and forgive the audience, every now and then I have a bout of diarrhea. I always think it comes after I'm done eating salads for whatever reason. But is that like how much of it is too much before you should say I got to see a doctor?
Right. Yeah. So it can be all over the board, right? So people can have just like occasional symptoms, and it can still be SIBO. So you just don't know until you test. But obviously, if that's happening like on a weekly basis.
On a weekly basis. Okay.
That's something you should really be looking into.
Not good.
So let's say that these tests then confirm you've got SIBO, and so many people struggle with all these things, bloating, constipation, they don't know what's wrong with them, or maybe they have IBS and they just blame it on that, and they really could have this. What's the treatment, and how fast can you get better once you know you have it?
Right, yeah, so the treatment is either antibiotics or herbal antibiotics. You can go either way, and the great news is there's a really good research study that showed both of them are effective. However, they're not extremely effective. So the herbal antibiotics, 34% will clear after a course of that, basically a month later, and then the herbal is 46%. However, when they went and looked at the people that didn't clear on the antibiotic and gave them the herbal, then over 50% of those cleared after that round. So it can take a little bit, but certainly, you could like clear completely or maybe be a little bit better, and you might need another round of treatment. Okay. Or there's also an elemental diet that you can do.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is basically, it's a liquid diet, like a prescribed liquid diet. So don't just do a liquid diet on your own. It has to be, calorie and electrolyte balanced and everything. So there's something called physician's elemental diet, but you're only drinking those shakes
how long
basically
is that for?
14 days, and that's been shown that's been shown to clear it in 85%.
But this is amazing, because 15% of the general population has this. 40 to 80% of IBS patients, I know I was talking to my mom, you're like, she needs to get tested for SIBO. Yeah. 50% of celiac patients who are not better on a gluten-free diet could have this. So men, women, kids, everyone's at risk?
Yeah, absolutely. And even like when I came into the green room today and someone asked me what I was talking about, she was just like, oh, my husband just got diagnosed with that. We'd never heard of it before.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Wow.
And everybody else was like, what's that?
Can we go back to the antibiotics? You said there was
yeah, so there's a prescription, like a one prescription and some other ones that are used, but then there are herbal options as well.
And you can get those over the counter?
Yes, right.
But
they're
like
recommended.
Through your recommended.
And there are like 2 different sets that have been specifically studied. There's the biotic set that have long names, and then there's the metagenic set. Both of those have actually been clinically studied by a Johns Hopkins study.
And these are, what the difference, and we've done this before on the show, maybe it's good to do it again, the difference between, clinical grade supplements and the things you're just going to buy over the counter. We're going to be actually talking with Dr. Stagg more in depth on CURES. We get a little more time on the podcast. So if this sounds like you or you want to learn more, we're going to go and, answer a lot of questions. But not the same as just like I'm going to the local drugstore and buying something over the counter. These are specific clinical supplements that you would give someone a plan. I want you to take X number in the morning and at night, and this is what you're doing.
Exactly. That it's a certain amount for a certain amount of time, and it has specific ingredients that will actually clear it.
So let's just go through, again, most common symptoms: abdominal bloating, diarrhea or constipation, abdominal pain, and discomfort.
Yeah.
So if you're experiencing those, it might be...
those could potentially be SIBO, especially since the incidence is so high, right?
Yeah, I mean, my mom, she randomly gets these, she does struggle with IBS, but sorry, Mom, if I'm telling too much, but she was like, just randomly take the Pepto-Bismol. So if that's you, and you think you're just taking these, like, things, Tom's Pepto a lot, you should get tested.
Because some people have more of, like, kind of like upper GI upset, where they're burping a lot of gas, and that can be SIBO as well.
I can't believe it's done through a breath test.
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing.
Really simple to do. So pretty non-invasive. You just drink a solution and then blow in tubes over the course of a couple of hours.
There's no indication. I mean, if you have halitosis, that's not an indication of SIBO, is it?
Not necessarily, but it can be. A lot of it, like it could be something with like dental, but it could be something with like a disturbed microbiome as well.
My disturbed microbiome. Well, on that note, Dr. Stagg.
There are so many things that could be disturbing. Okay.
There are so many things disturbing in my life. I don't need my breath to be disturbed.
Dr. Stagg also is a local doctor here in Connecticut, in Farmington, at Whole Health. She takes insurance, so thank you for being here. We'll get in depth. Eyewitness News, though, is coming up now. That is not disturbing. It starts at 4.
It's a wonderful show. We hope you'll stay tuned and enjoy the wonderful day out there. The weather is spectacular.